On a sweltering winter night in July 2014, those paradoxical winters of the Southern Hemisphere, a city bus driver in Buenos Aires completed his final route and prepared to check the empty seats before locking the garage. As he moved down the narrow aisle, sweeping his flashlight across the worn upholstery, his beam caught an unexpected sight. On the last seat, curled up against the window, sat a small boy. The child looked to be no more than 4, his wide, unblinking eyes fixed somewhere distant, his hands clinging fast to a faded teddy bear whose seams betrayed many years of comfort and worry. The boy was not crying. He made no sound. It was as though he had spent the entire night waiting, silent and invisible, for someone finally to see him. Alarmed, the driver phoned the police, and minutes later, the boy found himself inside a brightly lit social assistance office, surrounded by adults whose voices, though gentle, swelled with urgency. The boy was physically uninjured, though his clothes were ill-fitting. A shirt hanging loose from thin shoulders, sandals far too large for his feet. He had no documents, and when asked his name, muttered only one sentence in a soul-uncertain voice: "Camila is sleeping." That phrase became his refrain in the first bewildering days. When questioned, he simply repeated, "Camila is sleeping." Who was Camila? A mother, perhaps? Or a sister? A friend lost or left behind in the city's nighttime sprawl? The workers tried every approach: games, drawings, even quiet lullabies. The boy gave no more details, even as he twitched at loud voices, avoided every male gaze, and flinched at the wail of passing sirens. There was, the psychologists agreed, a closed door in his mind, a necessary boundary, keeping some private horror at bay. Meanwhile, the police worked through the night using security camera footage from the bus line. Video from the prior evening revealed a critical clue. At 10:12 p.m., a woman boarded with the child in her arms. She appeared frantic, glancing frequently over her shoulder, holding the boy tight as if she might never let go. Then, with one swift motion, she pressed the child into the hands of the ticket collector, speaking hurried words before fleeing into the darkness. The camera, grainy and silent, did not deliver her features clearly, nor did anyone nearby recognize her. For no, there was no way to trace the boy's origins. He was soon placed in temporary care and given the name Tomas, a placeholder until his true identity could be discovered. The social worker assigned to him, Marta, noticed that Tomas slept every night with the battered teddy bear pressed to his chest, murmuring, "Camila," even in sleep. Small glimmers of trust emerged in him. He responded to warm water, children's music, and especially to animated shows in which siblings protected and cared for one another. It was as though he recognized deep within the patterns of love and protection once present in his own life. 2 weeks passed. Then, during a moment of quiet play, Tomas finally offered more. Camila didn't want to get on the bus. With this clue, the psychologists hypothesized that Camila might not be an adult, but rather a child, a sister perhaps, who had vanished alongside him. The investigation shifted, searching now not just among missing women, but among lost children too. Yet still, every report of a missing girl or brother fell short of matching Tomas and his mysterious Camila. Then, a single detail shifted the tide. While examining the boy's beloved teddy bear, an investigator noticed a worn, hand-sewn tag inside. Faint embroidery spelled out "C. Braganza." The toy was old, lovingly mended, possibly gifted by someone close. The team sifted through local school and hospital records for the Braganza surname and at last found a lead more than 300 kilometers away in the city of Rosario. There, in the records of a public hospital, a girl named Camila Braganza had been treated several weeks earlier. The file described her as 7 years old, brought in by a woman claiming to be her aunt. Camila bore bruises on her arms and was showing signs of dehydration. After receiving care, the woman disappeared with her before authorities could intervene. An attending nurse remembered the girl and the name, albeit only hazily, but the connection was strong enough to pursue. With court authorization, the police took Tomas, still known by his assumed name, to Rosario. His caretakers told him nothing, simply watched as he processed the changing scenery outside the window. When they arrived at the hospital entrance, Tomas pointed, tears brimming in his eyes. "Camila was here," he whispered. He began to tremble. This reaction left no doubt. The Rosario investigation intensified. Surveillance from the hospital had unfortunately been overwritten, but a nurse's recollection painted a profile. The woman arriving with Camila wore a heavy coat despite the heat. Her answers clipped and defensive, her posture wary. The police reviewed lists of local complaints about child mistreatment, seeking any connection to the Braganza family. Their search led to Sylvia Braganza, maternal aunt to 2 children, Camila and Davi. Davi, the investigators realized, was the real name of the boy they had called Tomas. Records painted a bleak backstory. 2 years earlier, the children's mother had died in a suspicious house fire. The father had already disappeared. After the tragedy, Camila and Davy were placed in the care system. Sylvia, their mother's sister, had tried briefly to gain custody, but her rights were revoked following allegations of abuse. Since that time, she had vanished from official oversight. Now, with Davy's identity clear, finding Camila became the chief concern. An anonymous tip led authorities to a dilapidated house on the city's edge. A small, abandoned building with shattered windows and a door padlocked from the outside. Approaching warily, police called her name. Faintly, behind a barricade of toppled furniture, they heard the shuffling of footsteps and a ragged breath. Camila emerged from the shadows, legs scraped, her voice a mere ghost of sound. She had been left alone for days with barely any food or water, but she was still lucid, determination flickering in her eyes. Her first words were not of fear, but of desperate hope. "Is Davy okay?" It was the name her brother himself had never uttered. That question, so simple, bound them again. Soon reunited, Camila and Davy found themselves in the care of a trauma recovery team. Specialists who began patiently untying the knots of their story. Their embrace, upon seeing each other, was silent and utterly complete, as if the weight of years and fears could dissolve in a single, trembling moment. Marta, who had watched over Davy since he first arrived in Buenos Aires, swore she had never seen a smile like the one that broke upon his face in those minutes between tears. Gradually, the full truth emerged. Sylvia had kept both children hidden, maintaining control through intimidation and threats of permanent separation if either spoke of their circumstances to anyone. On the fateful night in Buenos Aires, Camila hesitated to board the bus because she understood, with a 7-year-old's wisdom, that separation could prove final. Yet the decision was made for her. Davi was sent away, while Camila was locked away until Sylvia could decide what to do next. Argentinian authorities pressed charges against Sylvia Braganza for abduction, abandonment, and abuse. Caught weeks later, trying to abscond with forged documents, Sylvie